Are you ready to take action to attain the lifestyle of your dreams?
It's a great way to make a lot of money fast.
Hey, what's going on, Clever Investors? Welcome back to the Clever Investor Show. It's your boy, Cody Sperber, the OG Clever Investor, and we're back in the studio. Today's going to be a phenomenal episode because we got a phenomenal real estate investor in the studio with us. His name is Tempelton Walker. He's done thousands and thousands of transactions. He happens to be local here in Arizona, probably one of the more well-known real estate agents / investors, which is one of the reasons I wanted him on the show, because he straddles both sides of the fence and he monetizes a single lead like multiple different ways. And I want to kind of unpack what that means. A lot of you guys come watch this show because you want to learn how to break free of the rat race and make a lot of money in real estate. Well, Templeton's done a phenomenal job at it, and he's got 5 kids, and he's figured out a way, and I want to understand the way, to actually live the 4-hour work week.
4-hour work day.
4-hour work day, 4-hour work week. But you've been able to like condense your business time down so that way you can still be a super dad and a super husband and all that other good stuff. So welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the Clever Investor Show. This is really cool. We've had some greats sit in your seat.
Appreciate being here, man.
So you're here. You're one of them.
It means a lot, man. I appreciate the intro. And I was telling you just before this, like, I rarely say yes to anything like this anymore. But when it was you, I was like, that's easy yes. Because, I want to pick your brain as well. So here we are.
Yeah, we're here. You also said you have 5 kids and you're not even Mormon. Which
No.
I'm actually impressed. What'd you say? You're half Mexi, half sexy?
Yeah, Mexican Catholic, baby. Half Mexi, half sexy. I think I'm the only Mexican named Tempelton Walker.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't have pegged you.
No, that's Irish, Scottish, white dad.
There you go. All right. Well, all right. So let's start. 11 years in the business, doing real estate.
For sure.
And to do thousands and thousands of deals in 11 years, you're gunning.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, like, I didn't always have the balance that I have in my life. Like, I always say you almost have to zoom out and look at seasons. And for a season, I sprinted. Like, money came before everything.
Yeah.
Right. And what I am proud of myself, though, is I was able to look at that wheel of more and get off of it. Because I think what most people don't realize is I live my dream life. Like, I live the exact life I want. I'm very on purpose. It costs me probably 30 grand a month. So if I want to go make $1 million a year, that's 83 grand a month, right? What am I willing to do for that extra 53 grand when I know the 30 sustains, like, it does everything I need, which I want the extra 53, don't get me wrong, but at what expense? So do I want to grind till 5, 6, 7, 8 p.m. every night and miss the kids' sports games, not coach them, not be present? For me, it was just a trade I wasn't willing to make. So I...
Now, did something break to get you there?
Yeah, for sure, dude. I struggled with alcohol. I'm from a small town, right? So like where I'm from, you grew up fighting, you grew up playing sports, you grew up drinking. We grew up tough, like hard-nosed kids. And I got exposed to a lot early. So I grew up rough around the edges, always kind-hearted and sweet, but I was always like the hardest worker. And I'm from a small town. I was like a big fish in a small pond. I was like the star athlete. Go to college, basketball scholarship. Me and my high school girlfriend, we're having a baby by Christmas break. And I'm like, holy shit. So from 18 to 25, I really floundered. Like, I could not figure out that I was unemployable. I knew that, but I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. And then I started my first company at 25, became a realtor, and that's when everything kind of started to change. But even in there, I still had a lot of that programming and bad habits that were, what I love about sales and real estate is the self-development piece. So I started to read and I realized, hey, I'm not a great page turner. I'm a great listener. I listen. I probably read more than any person you've ever met now because I always have a book in my ears and I actually retain it better. Lo and behold, if you're teaching me about finance, money, and personal development, I love reading. If you're teaching me about geometry and civics and all that, it doesn't stick, right? So at 25, I finally learned, wow, I'm extremely intelligent. You just got to put me in the right race. You got to give me the information in the right way. I say all that to say that some of those deep-rooted habits and conditioning that I had from early around alcohol, around loyalty and tenacity and fighting and this sort of stuff, I had to unprogram myself. But that followed me all the way until my early 30s, and I'm 36 now. So, being a great father and a great husband isn't usually very congruent with those sort of activities, and I had to figure out.
Yeah. Well, that's why I asked, just because, You see online right now all these influencers in the entrepreneur space. We're all ice bathing and red light therapy and, sticking needles all over us to try to reverse age. And we got these insane morning routines and all this stuff. I didn't have any of that when I first started. It was just one mode, hard, all in, fully focused, obsessed on like one or two things. And everything else in my life was like a disaster.
Yeah.
I didn't work out. I wasn't spiritual. I wasn't eating that good. I literally I woke up from the moment I woke up at like 4:30, I was on my computer, just working, trying to steal some extra hours before everybody else got up. And now you got like, what's your morning routine? I want to mirror it. It's like, no, you don't. You want to go work, get up at 4:30 and get on your damn computer and make sales and grind. But at some point, it breaks. And I think when you zoom, like to your point though, it's a privilege for you and I to be able to, I've been on cold and sauna for 7 years, right? Before it was like in trend, but like that's a privilege to go get in cold water and meditate and think and I go for 2 walks a day. I go for 1 run a day. I go lift. Like I'm very thoughtful with my time, but I didn't have that luxury in the beginning. I was trying to put food on the table. I mean, I remember times as a new realtor, there was a few moments where my wife had to go serve at like Cogburn's Chicken Wings. So we had enough freaking money while I was trying to scrape together deals and get some traction, right? So like we got it out the mud, man. And prior to that, I sold weed and I was like doing the wrong stuff. So like, and I was trying to stay away from that lifestyle because I knew it could be, an out. But I knew I wanted to get better and not go touch that hot pot again, which would have sustained me that month, but exposed me to so much. That's actually a funny story. I'll tell you the way I got out of that is I fronted a guy, $7,500, one of my old friends, and he was from the wrong side of the tracks. And he's like, hey, I need a little bit of upfront money. I'll give you a return every month on it. You don't got to do anything because I kind of had some money now. I'm like, cool, easy. He took that I'll never forget. I handed him an envelope in Chase parking lot. I never saw him again. And what he knew was I was no longer the type of guy that would go get that money back. And that's when I knew I had to leave that game because it wasn't worth it, right? Like who I was becoming was not worth what it took to go get that money back. And I'm so thankful for it. So I just say all that to give some perspective of like, I was really grinding and figuring it out. And then got on a better track. Well, one of these days I'm going to pay you your money back. I got you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for the loan.
No, but that's
it wasn't me. I'm kidding.
That's the best $7,500 I ever spent.
Well, look, dude, people in the beginning have to really get focused and sacrifice a lot to get it up off the ground. Your first year was just real estate agent activities. At what point did you get that humming to where you were ready to take on more like the investing side of things? So
for me, I always say you could control 3 things: your attitude, your energy, your effort. I always had those 3. So I literally remember like being a realtor and getting on Facebook Live because I've always been willing to get loud. And I remember I had an e-key, that lets you in the houses. I was like, you guys, I got a key that will let us in houses. Me, let's go. I didn't have any clients, but I was like, I can open doors. That's kind of where I started. And that first year I sold 11 houses. I made like 75 grand. The next year I sold like 37 houses, made a couple $100,000. And then that was my seed money to start what was called Tempelton Group. And I became like a big realtor, like a big traditional realtor. And we sold like 50 million. So at this point, you're building a team. I'm building a team and I'm hiring wrong and I'm hiring friends and I'm not hiring an admin first. I'm hiring buyer's agents and now I'm the admin and I suck at admin. I did it right. I did it wrong. But I could always just work hard enough to put enough money on the table. Like I'll solve it. So it was like, just started as a regular realtor, became a team leader. I haven't really understood what investing is yet. Then I get exposed to a buddy named Kevin Turner. Most people wouldn't know him, but he's a little gangster. We call him KK. And he's like, oh, I've been wholesaling some houses. And I'm like, I'm at KW Realty Phoenix over at Brett Tanner's old spot. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, oh, I made 15 grand. And I'm like, what? How?
Now, did he have a license?
He had a license.
Okay.
This is 2015, right? Where wholesaling is still, I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm figuring this out. And I knew how to find deals, but what I didn't realize is I was sending them to this other agent who was paying me a point. They were wholesaling them. I was like, oh.
You didn't even realize you were bird dogging at the time.
thankful for all of it, right? Because I got those reps and experience. So then I'm always a big believer in like, tie your boat to a bigger boat. So I went and found our mutual friend, Jamil Damji. And I'm like, I don't know what you do, but I'm good at finding deals. Because what I found out was that realtor was just taking him to Jamil. And I'm like, I don't know what you do, but tell me what to find and I'll find it. Dude, I find a 32 unit apartment complex in Winslow, Arizona. I do what I do. I go lock it up. I'm coachable. Me and Jamil go split 150 grand on that.
Boom.
And I'm like, oh, I'm hooked.
You're all 3% commission.
Yeah.
Wholesale deal and make 150 grand.
Yeah. And the thing about real estate team leaders, the dirty secret, all these people that are on stage and saying they're a big realtor, they don't make any fucking money. Dude, unless you're in production as a team leader, you don't make any money. You make probably 200, 300, 400 grand. That's money. Don't get me wrong. But for everything you're dealing with, that ain't money. You could go do that as just being in production with one assistant. And now, so what I've really learned is I'm going to stack an investment acquisition company at the top of the funnel. Because who knows what the exit is? People hear sub 2 or wholesale or fix and flip or burr. Those aren't businesses. Those are exit strategies. All you need to do is get the deal and then listen to the person and go solve their problem. What I love, and I have faith, right? Like I'm covered, like this is the Virgin Mary, this is praying hands. Someday I'm going to meet God. And I don't want him to say, hey, Temp, you were down there stealing houses. So what I do is I meet a seller and I go, talk to me. What's going on in your life? How are you? What do you need? And at the end of that conversation, a cash offer might make the most sense. Or I'm going to say, guys, your house is beautiful and you got time. Let's put it on the market. Let me put my realtor hat on. Then we pivot to agency. Whatever the best option is. So I feel great about that. And I think that's what every realtor and investor should do is you don't have to choose one side or the other. Give a menu of options, be great at what you do, and offer all these.
So when you first started and so you got the agent thing down and you know how to be an agent, now you're experiencing wholesaling, which is a lot of us got our started in wholesaling. How did you start adding other tools to your tool belt? Like, did you right from the gate start doing creative finance, or were you like, nah, I'm not even messing with that. I'm going to go do some rehabs. I'm going to cherry pick some of these, start making bigger money.
Rehab.
Were you building a rental portfolio? Like, what was your thought process transitioning into the investing world?
Dude, I'm still just a hustler at this point, right? Like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just outworking everyone and I'm making a lot of money. Like my first 3 years, I actually did a video on this earlier. I didn't even have an LLC set up. My CPA had to go amend my 3 years tax returns and make me a business. Like, and I was making like a lot of money. And he was like, this is bad. He's like, but I can still fix it. So, but to your point, what was give me the question again, just a little piece.
Just like, what was the thought process to start evolving as an investor? Was it one day you stumbled into a rehab and you were like, fuck it, I'm going to run this thing? Like,
yeah. So on stuff that I started to see pencil, I'm seeing what I could wholesale for. And back then wholesale wasn't quite what it was this last 3-4 years where we could make like rippy rips. It was like, you can go make 5, 10, 15 grand. That's kind of what wholesale was back then. You could get some bigger pops, but they were 5, 10, 15, 20. Yeah. Like a big wholesale back at that time was probably 30 grand. You'd be like, yeah, that was a banger.
Yep.
So I'm like, dude, these flippers were in an appreciating market. That was a good time from 13 to 20. They're making 50. And I'm like, I could do that, but I just don't have enough money yet. So what I did is I just went and found the deal and then I raised the money and I'd come to you and I'd say, hey, Cody, man, I will do everything, but I need you to put the down payment for the hard money. I need you to make the hard money payments and I need you to fund the reno. Don't give me the money. You'll pay the contractor direct. You'll pay the hard money company direct. So there's no funny business. I'll get it sold on the back end. We'll split the profits 50-50. And that's how I started. So now I'm like, I have none of my own capital. So I have an infinite return on my end. I'm getting a ton of reps and experience without any exposure on my end. We're in such a good market and I worked really hard and I studied hard. And dude, I never lost money on a deal until last year. I just crushed. And so I would be, if it was a 50K deal, I wouldn't take a wholesale. I would have done some things different, but this is how I did it. In hindsight, I would have done some things different. I wouldn't wholesale it. I'd say, hey, Cody, let's do this deal. We can make 50. Now you're making 25. I never put any money in the deal. As soon as it closes, I'm getting 25. And that's how I got started. I mean, and now if I don't have to raise other money, I mean, I borrow acquisition funds, but I just fund my own renos. Like I don't bring in a partner. But if I did, I'd probably just give them a rate of return instead of half the deal. But in the beginning, I had no track record. So that's what I had to do.
Now you mentioned that if I can go back, I might do things a little differently. Knowing what you know now, what would you change?
I would have played bigger sooner. I would have held more houses. And I own 37 houses. So like I've built a nice portfolio, but I should have owned hundreds. Yeah. But hindsight's 2020. I would have charged, what I learned is my acquisition company is a wholesale company. It can sell to my flipping company, but it's not my acquisitions company's job to make my flipping company have more margin. My flipping company needs to pay my acquisition company a fee. So when I was teeing up those deals, I should have still put 5-10 grand on them for the acquisition effort. Yeah. And if the deal pencils, now my flipping company can choose to do that or not. And my investor can choose to participate on that or not. And they need to know about the fee. Like, hey, I'm making 10 grand in this company. Yeah. Over here.
That's what we do.
And that's what I do now for the last 5 years. But for the first 4,
you don't know any. You're thinking it's my company. I'm just going to move the asset over.
And what happens is your acquisition company quickly becomes a flipping company, and then it quickly becomes a Airbnb company because you ended up holding 3 of them, and now it's Airbnb. And now last year, I had 120 grand of hard money burn on my wholesale company every month because I had so many assets in construction or in stabilization that my wholesale company, which is my cash cow, it had to go save me every month. Yeah. Instead of just, and I probably wouldn't have went and bought all these if I didn't have access to all this cash that the machine was making. Yeah. So I would have set some rules.
And last year was rough. I mean,
last year was crazy. I mean,
that was an anomaly.
I have a ton of revenue streams, so I was fine. But I gave up $1.5 million liquidity. Like I have it tatted here. Liquidity matters.
It meant that much that you went and got a tattoo.
Dog, I lost 300 into a cannabis testing facility, just straight cash.
Why they went belly up?
Yeah, we had a good run at it, but kind of right as this was a whole thing. Like I sat on the board of directors, we raised a lot of money, scientists, machines, and our chief scientist, rest in peace, killed himself right before opening. That should have been a sign. And then
I don't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. Dude. That's just so wild to me. Yeah, maybe that's an indicator that things aren't going good.
I don't mean to laugh, but yeah, that was rough. And another lesson was I was only 130 into that deal, and I made 20 grand a month capital calls, trying, not wanting to lose the 130,
chasing good money.
When I knew, and I knew in my heart, like, man, just cut. But I didn't want to let everyone else down, and I'm the largest investor.
You're not the first entrepreneur or investor to ever do. Of course, yeah, everybody does that. You got to learn the lesson. It's different when you're chasing good money after bad in your own businesses. And you're trying to keep your employees paid and stuff like it. Almost every entrepreneur that's ever gone through a down cycle has experienced where the cash is going the other direction now, right? Yeah. And it's rough. But to do that on an investment takes a lot of maturity and wisdom to know we're not playing this game.
Well, and thank God in my flipping company. So I had hired Brett Tanner as a personal coach in 22. Ton of money. But I do a lot of things extremely well. He's got some things that I wanted to develop a bit better. So I'm a big believer in write the check, compress the time. Yep. So I'm like, Brett, I need to get better at these things. He's like, I got you. Our coaching calls every 2 weeks were essentially him telling me, we'd go through every deal I had on the board, and he would be like, do you want to own a townhome in McCormick Ranch for $1.2 million that we both know is worth $900? Do you want to own that? Do you want to stabilize that? And at 8% rate? No. Reduce price, move on. But Brett, I'm going to lose 100 grand. Reduce price, move on. Mm-hmm. Thank God what I had done is I had funded my own renos. So I didn't have to raise new capital to get out of the deals. I just didn't get my money back. Yeah. So I was able to get off of it, but that's where I lost all that cash.
And Brett is coming on this podcast here soon.
He's a stud and a great friend.
He's probably not only one of the best investing minds in our world, just in the creative world. He's one of the funniest motherfuckers I've ever met.
Dude, he's hilarious.
We vacationed together and stuff many times, and I've never laughed so hard. He goes on these bits, and we hit these bits like 400 times during the vacation. And by the time you're done, like every muscle in your body hurts because you're cracking up.
And a lot of people don't know that about him though until they spend time with him.
I want to ask you though, so when you hear a mentor or a coach, somebody you're paying, tell you, sell at a loss, are you receiving that and saying, okay, I'm going to trust you? Are you fighting it internally? Because that's a tough pill to swallow when when you're holding on and you're trying to make things work, and you got all these decisions to make, and you got all these maybe other people that are involved. Was it as simple as, okay, if that's what you're telling me to do, let's roll?
Yeah, I'm pretty coachable. Like I grew up being an athlete, and I would just, Brett is where I want to be. He has knowledge and acumen that I don't yet have. And instead of me, I've played the guessing game and it's never worked well for me. So I'm just like, that's why I wrote him the check. That's why I paid him a lot of money to tell me these things. And this fucker would be out on a walk. I could hear him shuffling around and just be like, yeah, man, you got to sell it. Like, I'd be like, come on, man, I need you to just focus in for a second. And he was there. He was dialed. But I'm like, really? And he'd be like, Temp, this is the path. And I'd be like, all right. And then I'd get off the call.
How to get you off of defense and over onto offense? Are you still working on that?
No, I'm on offense, dude. I'm thankful for the turn because I was making so much. Things got fat. I had my auntie on payroll. I had, when you're winning like that, it's easy to lose track of the small things. So that company, I had 70 cold callers, 8 acquisition. And it was an $80,000, $90,000 a month endeavor. And then we were able to, you went through it too. You own an acquisition company. For a minute, we could buy everything and it wouldn't move. So I'm like, fuck, I'm outlaying 80 and only 20 or 30 is coming back.
Yeah.
There's a delta here that's not making sense. So I remember sitting my business partners in the room, Miguel and Rodolfo at the time, just being like, fellas, we're not leaving this room until our P&L is at 15 grand a month in burn. And they're like, that's not possible. And I'm like, it has to be because otherwise we're going to bleed out. And we got through it. So.
And were you able to get it down?
Oh yeah, we're there. Dude, so Rod moved back to Mexico. My 2 business partners, Rodolfo and Miguel, we still own all the assets together, but Miguel and I only own the acquisition together now. We have 1 assistant. We have some software. We go do 150 to 250 every month on 5,000 a month in spend.
Back to basics.
Bro, there is no one better, in my humble opinion, pound for pound, at making dollars than me on an acquisition company. Without all the fluff, I don't need just me, relationships, and negotiating deals.
What's your number 1 lead source?
Agents.
So your sweet spot is, as an agent investor, knowing how to go out there and talk to other agents and saying what? Your listings aren't moving, let's work? Or your listing expired, let's work?
No, I don't. I want it before it ever touched any market. I don't want the one.
This is pre-listing.
It's pre-listing. This is years of relationship. So everyone says, send me your deals. You've seen? Mm-hmm. I think I started that. I'm pretty sure I started, hey, send me your deals. And I've been saying that online for 8 years now. And really what I'm telling agents to do is like, hey, when it's not great for MLS, when you know you're going to get 30 investor offers and it's going to go on MLS and get blown up and a wholesaler's going to tie it up, you call me first. So I probably have 500 to 600 great realtor relationships in town that always think of me. I'm their first call. Hey, Temp, I'm headed to a listing appointment. Might be a cash offer scenario. Can you give me a buy price? Hey, Cody, I'd be 380 on that. Looks like it's worth 550 fixed up. So if you want to let them know I'm good at 380, you can walk in with it. And they're like, thanks, Temp.
So you were just feeding them what your buy number was. So that way they were empowered.
Mm-hmm.
And what? Every once in a while they call you back up and say, okay, they'll take 380.
Yeah. So I need to, at one point, I needed to look at about 20 deals to buy one. Right now I'm at about 32 deals and I know my numbers very well and I know my money very well, but I need to look at about 32 deals. So I got to comp 32 houses, make 32. And this is just texting. Like these are my friends at this point. Yeah. Cody, what's up, brother? I'm at 200 on it.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And how fast does it take you to comp a deal and throw out a number?
3 minutes. Dude, the only downfall is you see this nook on my pinky. I don't even have a computer, but this, I didn't realize why I had like arthritis. My wife's like, hold your phone. This is how I comp all day. I don't use a computer. I buy everything from a phone. So if this is the price I have to pay, RIP to the pinky, because this thing prints money.
What are you using the MLS to comp your properties?
No. So if you're a licensed realtor, there's an app called RPR, National Association of Real. It's like a private.
Used to be NAR RPR.
It still is.
Yeah.
I just call it RPR.
Yeah.
And it's essentially like a private Zillow for realtors, mm-hmm. and it will show you your listing data.
And you're able to dial that in good enough.
Bro, people overcomplicate it. I'm not smart enough to make it too hard. Subdivision, I don't cross any major streets. I look for model matches or the closest thing I can. Hey, if it's beautiful, what's it trading for? Okay, 500, beautiful, 510, beautiful, 480, kind of nice, 490, that's weird, 460. That's a fucking 500 house. Okay, cool. Let me do my math, 5% cost of sale, five grand acquisition closing costs, whatever my carry is going to be, which is typically 11% times 6 months. My cost of renovation, my desired profit, my assignment fee, then there's my MAO. That's my max allowable offer.
Got it. So you have your memorized maximal allowable offer formula. You just figure out what the ARV is, throw in all your numbers.
If people want the cheat code, just times it by 65% and you're probably there.
Got it.
And you know that.
Yeah, that's what I was pulling out of you.
Yeah.
Interesting. And the reason I wanted to kind of expand on some of that stuff is one of the number one skills a new person needs to work on is comping properties. You need to get down comping properties from 1 hour to 3 minutes. And whatever that looks like for you, some people, like I was able to do it fast. At the end of my first month and a half, I was down to 3 to 5 minutes.
I have a theory though, why you and I are good at it. We're willing to be wrong with confidence. And people who overthink shit and have to have it perfect, because comping is an art, it's not a science. So it is an educated guess to a degree. And when I give people a number, I give it to them confidently. And that's the way you carry yourself, right? Like you're a very confident individual. So I'd imagine once you kind of figured out how to cook the cake, you started slinging those fuckers everywhere. And you're like, yeah. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. And not to burst your bubble, but we were doing the Bring Me Your Deals in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was great. You guys did it on a mass scale.
Yeah.
I didn't have a choice because the only leads in my world were other agents.
No, but not that. But the words "send me your deals," I feel like you run an ad.
Yeah, you might have. I don't know. You know, it's hard to tell these things, but I will tell you, the agent route is where every newbie starts. They all fuck it up because they don't know how to talk to agents. They don't know how to approach them properly. They don't have the comping skill down. They don't know how to not waste agents' time and make sure that their commissions are paid and all that stuff. They just need to get that part down in order to really like do well in that angle.
Yeah.
But I love it. So that's your main source.
75% of our deal flow comes from that. We still have a few VAs running, a little bit of PPC, a little bit of Facebook and Meta.
Got it. So besides a little pay-per-click, you're not, you don't have a huge call center with a bunch of cold callers banging. I know now.
Yep. Now, no, dude, it's an assistant. Me and Miguel moved to the same office. We look at each other. We have a whiteboard between us. We have an Alexa that plays music and we freaking print money.
And how many hours are you on the phones?
I'm not that. Like,
or you're just texting?
No, I'm texting, calling. I'll usually do a social post and, I'll get deal flow from there. I like to skim the MLS. I like to just, if you guys go in your MLS and go new search, single family, go into additional terms and do fix up needs repair, and then sort by price per square foot ascending, go to everything that's new listing or back on market. Essentially, you did two things there. You said, you asked the MLS to raise, if this house is fucked up, raise your hand. And when you go price per square foot ascending, show me the best value dollar for dollar first. And I'll skim that real quick, 10 minutes, call those agents. And it's like fish in a barrel, right? Because as much as I love the education that's being put out, and even by, Jamil, who's a great friend, Astro and the Sub 2 crew and that, they're pretty new people, right? That are trying to call these agents and they just can't speak the language the same way yet. Yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't work, and I'm not saying there aren't good people doing it. But if you or I make that call, it's a different call.
Yeah, it's different.
Right.
Sure.
So if I take 10 minutes and make those calls, it's game over.
Nice.
So yeah, I just do that. PPC, Facebook.
The 2024 is all about the lean startup model.
Yeah,
it really is. We're back to basics. And I love that you saw that, came in, put your foot down and said, we're not leaving until we get this down to 15 grand a month in overhead. If we get to 15 grand a month in overhead, we're going to win this game big time. Yeah. And we'll right the ship. The hardest thing to do is that call.
Did you have to do it?
Oh, many times. In this last businesses. Turn? Oh yeah, of course.
What was your hardest one?
Well, it's not as hard anymore for me because I've now gone through it a couple times. My wholesaling business has grown and scaled down maybe a dozen times since I started. And it's like
kind of moves with market appetite.
Yeah, right when you figure things out, they move the cheese. And you're like, okay, all right, I gotta kind of like be nimble. And I remember one of my mentors, he said two things that always stuck with me. One is, if you want to be a successful wholesaler, you got to be nimble. And you also got to tell people how to do business with you. You can't be a nice wholesaler. You got to be a direct wholesaler. That doesn't mean you got to be mean, but you got to be forcefully direct. Like, this is my number. Call me if it works. Otherwise, be willing to walk from any situation. And once I realized those two things, started embodying it into my conversations and how I rolled, people stopped walking over top of me. They stopped sidelining me and pushing me around and thinking they could take advantage of me. And it was like, oh, fuck, Sperber's got boundaries, right? Just like in any relationship.
Standard.
I set my standards and my boundaries. If you want to roll with me, great. But it's, and a lot of people, they haven't taken the time to figure out their code of conduct and their personal core values and what their boundaries are and how they operate, which is why they're not around anymore, because they're willing to violate their own integrity in order to get deals and get money. I just never was. I just held people accountable to how they work with me.
I always tell people, man, your character walks into the room long before you do. And you can't have a name like Templeton.
Yeah.
Fucking people over, right? So like, and not to, I mean, I burned hot. Like I play hard and fast. So not to say I've never had to go back and to apologize to some people for playing the way I play.
Sure.
But it's never out of malice, and it's never out of, like I'm trying to get over on someone. But I have gotten to the finish line a few times and won and been like, damn, I need to call a friend and be like, dude, I'm sorry.
Nothing wrong with that. And
have you ever had that?
Of course. But, and just to go back one step, when the market is hot and money is cheap, wholesaling's easy. Any ding dong with a pulse can go out there and make money in wholesaling. And when the hedge funds were buying, it was really anybody that had a basic foundation could go out there and do well. The rubber's meeting the road right now, and we're really seeing who's in it to win it. And we've had this great purge of all the weak wholesalers out there,
which is great.
It's been great. And so
it's like a summer fire. Like the forest is getting cleared out, getting healthy.
That's right. And it's a tough thing to go through, and a lot of people are having to make change, and they weren't nimble. They weren't able to scale back down quickly and regroup to win, to fight another day. Right now, we did this exact same thing. So in our wholesaling business, we got rid of everybody who was on a base salary. So that was step one, is who's willing to stay and just work our leads and be commission only.
Eat what you kill.
Only about 2 or 3 people made that cut because they were the killers. They were the ones that knew.
They're the ones who want that pay.
Yeah. And in fact, they didn't even want a base pay. They were like, base pay, like I'm a killer. Like, put a good lead in front of me and I'm going to close the deal. And so we have our killers. Everybody else is on dispositions. But all of our acquisitions are commission only now. We have 1 or 2 people on dispositions. I think our total overhead is now down to about $7,000 a month, maybe 8.
Yeah. So we're running, dude, it's funny. We're running super parallel course on that.
Yeah. But it's hard. Wholesaling is a tough business right now. I believe that we 2024, it's a little different than times in the past too. It doesn't feel the same as far as like the pullback.
Oh, I agree.
Something is different this time. And I don't know if maybe wholesaling is going to forever be changed into something new.
Well, I also think, I try to operate as a fiduciary, right? Like how I told the menu of options. I think everyone's going to start being required to do that. I think legislation and licensing is coming. We're already seeing it in multiple states, which is a good thing, right? Because it's like, dude, go in and serve that human being at the best capacity that you can. Right. So I'm excited for that. But that's kind of why I like my 2-hat approach between investor first, agency second, because I think it's coming either way. So if you can learn how to navigate in that water now, you're going to be better served. So a lot of people think a license hamstrings you. I think it's a blessing.
What about doing deals in other states? Are you focused on Arizona, or are you doing things nationwide?
No. So the send me your deals approach, I do a lot in St. Louis and I do a lot in Florida. And then the Triad area in North Carolina, and Baton Rouge now. Essentially what I found is my favorite book ever is Who Not How. You don't need to know how, you need to know who. And I do know the how on the how to wholesale, but you got to have a market expert in Baton Rouge, for example. My buddy Steven Kavulian, he's amazing. He knows that market, but he's just a realtor. He didn't know how to look at anything else. I'm like, hey dude, if I start saying I'm buying houses in Baton Rouge, people are going to send me deals. I have no idea what they're worth. Do you think you can comp them for me? And then let's find some flippers. So within our first month, we just did a $27,000 deal. My same buddy over in the Triad area, these guys only know how to wear a realtor hat. I'm like, hey, same thing. R&D, rip off and duplicate. You're going to start saying to people, I buy houses. I'm representing one of the largest investors. We're looking for anything distressed before you put it on market. Can you send it to us? It seems ironic, but he did a $27,000 deal. They both did $27,000 deals in their first month.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's insane. And I get to split those deals with them, and my team runs everything, and they just got to be the market expert there.
Yeah. Another power move we made is we cut down the number of states we're even thinking about doing. That was one of the first things we did was, okay, we're not going to do 10 states.
We tried the nationwide wholesale, and we were running PPC all over, and we were buying homes in like rural Washington. And I'm like, we were like buying at 40 cents on the dollar. I'm like, we can't.
And you can't move them.
It was just brain damage. We got to a spot where I think we're similar in the sense, like, I'm not in the day-to-day as I am a little bit more now with the wholesaling company because it's me and Miguel, but Miguel executes all the work, right? I kind of create the brand and I bring the deals together. I don't know how to write a contract. They don't let me touch I don't do anything, right? Besides massage the deals. You're mostly working on brand and top of funnel, right? Like you're not in.
Yeah. No, I'm not on the front lines of the wholesaling stuff. The other power move we have made and we are continuing to make is we are rebuilding our cash buyers list from the ground up. If you're going to go direct to seller in any way, shape, or form, or if you're going to try to move properties to your own list, we were using Investor Lift for a really long time. We still use Investor Lift. We've sold.
We have the
tons
cartel
of deals
mode
through Investor Lift. We're at the highest level of the cartel, whatever. I really like Investor Lift, but I think since June of last year, the ones that are going to win at the highest level are people that rebuild their cash buyers list as if June of last year was like the death and everything moving forward is new. And it's been a challenge because it's like, okay, just pretend that list doesn't exist and go out there and start doing all the things that we did to build the list the first time. We're going to start putting out all new social content. We're going to drive them into a whole new list. We're going to build a new VIP buyer's box on every single person that comes in. That'll take the time to fill out our buyer's box. We're going to send them little, things in the mail to try to build a relationship with them.
Treat it like a real company that's trying to bring value.
All of it. And, it's not the size of the list. It's more about the quality of the list. Being able to roll around and say, oh, we got 3 million cash buyers nationwide on our list. Like, who cares? If I can't sell a property because people aren't buying, it doesn't matter. This
is a great example. So I had a deal over on First Street, I actually sold you guys one of your specs by the Valley Ho.
Which one? Mojave.
Do you know the one right? I think it's on Second Street.
Second Street?
Yep.
Oh, you sold us that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Hopefully
awesome.
you've done well on it. Well, the market also turned right before that.
I was going to say I'll let you finish, but we built 3 houses. We bought 3 lots all in the same, basically 3 or 4 block area.
Mm-hmm.
Built essentially the same 2-story with small modifications on all 3. And we sold 2 of them and we still have 1 more for sale on Mojave right now. They're all $2.9 to $3.1 million houses. We pre-sold 1. We sold 1 when it was done. And the other one is now active for sale. We made money on 1. We broke even on the other.
That's a win.
It's a win for me.
That's a win.
We got out. And we paid everybody off. And the third one, we have a couple $100,000 in profit. But the lesson I learned in all 3 of those deals, 1, when the market turned and we were learning how to build a 2-story, in an area of town that we hadn't already flipped a bunch of houses in.
Yeah.
In an area of town that was kind of up and coming. It was just starting to
trend,
gentrify or whatever that word is, where it was like they were taking all these old houses and making them new. We were a little too early. There was only one other major developer in that area that was doing a bunch of new builds, and we were competing with them. And unfortunately, the first 6 months of all 3 of those deals was just permitting with the city of Scottsdale. Took about
a ton of lessons learned in that.
Too many lessons in the beginning just to get the project off the ground.
And you got burned that whole time.
And us learning how to build a 2-story was different. whole different set of plans. We hadn't built that house before. Before that, we had maybe 6 sets of plans that we just kept building over and over.
But those lots weren't big enough to give you enough square footage on a single level.
Yeah, so we had to go 2-story, and we wanted to learn how to do 2 stories. And originally, all 3 houses were designed to be luxury Airbnbs that we were going to keep.
Yeah.
Mid-stride, what do you do when shit's hitting the fan? Okay, we can't, because the whole model was build, buy okay, not great, but buy okay, build and force the appreciation, and create the equity, and go
stabilize.
Do a BRRRR type thing where we use a DSCR loan on the back end.
Rate and term.
The problem is DSCR loans went from 4% to 9% by the time we were done building. So the Airbnb strategy went right out the window.
Yeah, because your burn would have been $25,000 a month on an asset that big.
Yep, and we would have broke even, and it would have been risky, and we still would have had to put $50,000 worth of furniture in the damn thing. Mm-hmm. So we were like, okay, we got to bail on the Airbnb strategy. It's just we just don't have the ability.
I was in the same spot.
But in order to do that, we made like 90 grand on one, we broke even on the other, and we have like maybe 200 grand in the other. But it's not sold yet. I might lose 100 grand. I don't know how this is going to play out, but here's the thing that I'm up against. In 3 months, my construction loan extension is up, and they already told us they are not going to renew. So the challenge I'm in right now is, what do? You have $1.1 million, $1.2 million trapped in a house in cash. You have a construction loan that's expiring in 2-3 months. You already know they're not going to renew it. Do I significantly drop? You're the Brett Tanner.
Yeah.
Ready, Brett Tanner? Tell me what to do. Tempelton Walker is now my mentor.
So I'm Brett. Do you want to hold that asset long-term and trap cash and probably negative cash flow for the next few years?
No.
Reduce price, sell.
Thank you. See, and this is, and we're holding on, and we're like, we know in like 1 week, we drop price 20 grand. A week after that, it's going down to like 50 grand.
Yeah.
We're going to burn through that $200,000 in spread so fast. And nobody's coming and offering above ask right now. Right?
So
they're just not.
What I did in those situations is I found my most pain, and Brett taught me this. He goes, find the most painful number but you can still stomach it, and put yourself 2 months from now. And we went to that number right away instead of limping it down.
Yeah.
And then they moved. He was like, dude.
That's essentially what we're about to do in the next week and a half, 2 weeks.
But instead of 20 and then 50,
just do 70.
If you have if you have 200 grand of profit in it, I would go 200 and punt. Just be gone. Like dude, and I'm taking my own medicine here.
Yeah.
I had a $5 million flip. Me, Chris Simon, and Tim Mudd. Do you know that?
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah, great friends. And so we flipped this big property. We thought we'd renovate for $1 million. We put 1.6 in. We thought we'd sell for $5 million. We sold for 4.12. So, okay, there's 1.2 million of spread, which we thought we were going to make. We ended up losing 180 grand. We split it. So we absorbed it together. It was stomach. But dude, it was.
Thanks 2024 or 2023.
Oh, so times that by 30 projects, dude. It was, I remember sitting in La Jolla. We're on this mountain and beautiful house. We spend the summer there. And I look at my wife, because I had 2 new daughters and my business partners are running everything. I'm kind of the face. And I look at my wife, I'm like, honey, I think I have to work again. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, this just doesn't look right. This doesn't feel good. And she's like,
yeah.
I was like, dude, I'm gonna have to. But the thing about me is I'm not allergic to hard work. So I got through it, figured it out. Oh, the point I was gonna make though, real quick, just to move back. I have a project right next to your Mojave and your 2nd Street deal. Some wholesaler tied it up. An agent sent it to me. I gave him my number. I have a standard. He didn't take my number. He went with someone else. They try to wholesale it. It goes on every list. It goes on Investor Lift. It goes on Spencer Caldwell's list. It goes on every list. They have to cancel. He calls me back. I say, I'm still here at my number. And this is where being really freaking good at what you do and treating people well. And I take mental notes of everyone. Dude, I watched like at least 2 hours of content on you last night. I know more about you than you probably, I study. So I know you got into real estate because your buddy Jeremy pulled up in a new car and you ask certain questions. I know you went to the Navy and you get seasick. I know I play chess. So I'm like, okay, that 1st Street deal went on every list, Didn't work. Trying to remember. I know who will buy that. Not only will he not just buy it, gone are the days of wholesaling where you could just send a text and sell a deal. I said, I will meet your contractor out there. I will show him how to not do a scrape and new build. I'm going to show him how a square footage addition would work. And here's your comps. I'll sell it on the back end at just a point. Let me show you the math on why this deal works. And it really works. He loves the deal. He buys the deal. I did all that for 15 grand, a 15 grand assignment. I would have been, a lot of people would be above that who have done what you and I have done.
Yeah.
So I played chess, bro.
I love that. And by the way, one of the biggest lessons we learned last year, and I've said this in other podcasts, but I just want to say it to you. There's something out there called a speculative builder's tax. We didn't even know what that was until we got hit with a $198,000 tax bill. And every month we don't pay it, there's like a $9,000 penalty. So because we bought so many houses in the city of Scottsdale, tore them completely down and built ground up new builds, you get hit automatically with the speculative builder's tax. I don't know. I mean, I know how. We failed.
Cody, I didn't know that until you just told me that right now.
I know that. The fact that you said, no, we're just going to add an addition or we'll leave a wall or two up. You just avoided a 1 or 1.5% off the final sales price hit.
Savings, yeah.
And now as an agent investor, when you're pitching these deals to these rehabbers or these builders in Scottsdale or Queen Creek or Phoenix, everybody has something like this. But until you go and ask, hey, what are all my taxes that could potentially happen if I build a new house in this area? Since we never did that, we did the opposite. We just built 20 freaking houses.
You don't know what you don't know.
And then we got hit with this bill. And the most maddening thing is there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like they're like, oh, I totally understand. Let us take a small discount off that. No, they're like, here's your bill. Here's your penalties. If you don't pay, here's going to be your penalty every single month. So hurry up and get this paid. And our attorneys came back and we said, well, can we do a payment plan or something to stop the penalties? And they said, no. You could do a payment plan, but the penalties keep adding up. So it's like, now we're in this position. And by the way, we paid all $198,000, so we don't have to pay the penalties anymore. But first off, that 198, like if our development company was on track before the market turned to make, let's call it $3 million in profit. We have 3 partners. We were each going to make $1 million.
Yeah.
By the time the year actually ended and we got caught with the builder's tax in December, but we didn't pay it until January.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out like, where does that land on our books? But by the time the whole entire thing was done, we might squeak by with like a $500,000 or $600,000 profit. So we ate up $2.5 million in profit by just holding on for the last half of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, just floating all of this development cost to get these projects done. I'm down to my last house. I have Mojave and one other one. And I'm officially done building single family houses, at least for now.
Dude, so very similar. It wasn't new builds. I had 2 spec builds in Gilbert on 2.5 acres on Val Vista and Ray. And I saw the writing on the wall and I punted and I sold it to someone and I ended up, the carry cost, I think I broke even. I think I might've made like $9,000 carrying this $1 million piece of dirt for 18 months. But that was a better option than going and building these spec homes. And it could have worked, but I was like, you know what? Like,
not worth it.
You know what I've learned is I have enough. Like I want more, don't get me wrong, but I've done really well. So now why am I going to risk money that I don't want to lose for money I don't need to make? And I was just saying yes to everything. So to the point though, that you were just saying the 1.5 million that I had made on the front end of the year of 23 or 22, I had to give it all back. Like every project that was just a banger, we started to see the writing on the wall. So we saved those funds. And then I just it was so painful. But that whole flipping company was like 47 flips. I ended up losing net. So at least you guys might make some money. Net, that P&L lost 190 grand when it all shook out.
Yeah.
It was.
See, this is the real shit that is so good for people to hear. When you're getting into real estate, you're always thinking the market always goes up and when times are good, you can't even fathom the money leaving the market and everything pulling back and things getting so just hard, and
our inventory went 5x the wrong direction in 5 weeks.
Yeah. And everything is a grind, everything. And then you start breaking culture and your partnerships start falling apart and everybody starts fighting and pointing fingers, and it just becomes a really hard thing to get through. So I love that we're sharing some of these stories. I've now gone through 2 major pullbacks. This one, the reason we made money is because when COVID hit, I was just a fanatic about like protecting ourselves and protecting our investors. The one thing I am very proud of is we've never lost an investor a dollar.
I'm with you there.
Never. We will take a hit personally. We personally guaranteed a lot of our private money loans and stuff like that. Every investor makes their money back. And even in some cases, I paid investors their money back and a profit that didn't exist just to show them a decent return. You know, a lot of times the conversations behind the scenes with me and Brian are like, well, we didn't make money. We lost 10 grand or 20 grand on this deal. And we only lost money on like 3 or 4 deals out of all of them. So somehow we squeaked by with at least breaking even or a profit. But let's say it's one of the ones we lost money on. Should we give our private money lender at least a 7 or 10% return, what they could have gotten if they just had a good savings account or something like that? And the answer was always yes.
Yeah, because now though there is a line of, and I'm in the same spot. I've never lost someone a dollar. I've lost plenty, right?
Yeah.
My phone is full of people. I could go raise 10 million bucks right now without sending an address. Like just, they're betting on me because I have that much favor.
Yeah.
And it's because I've done similar things. And I'd imagine you have the similar ability to just be like, I'm all in on this. And they'll just be like, where do you want me to wire the money?
Yeah, I love that. Playing the long game, brother. So what's the next year look like for you? Where's your major focus? Because you said, I wish I would have gone bigger. Are you going bigger?
No, so bigger to me, actually, like less is more. And not less profit, but less bullshit. Like everything that I do now, and I got this from Brett, is low noise, high margin. And I was just rereading Charlie Munger's book, and he has something where he just says, too hard. Hey, this can make money. Too hard. And I don't do too hard anymore. I thought I was Gary Vee for a minute, man. I had 10 companies. I had a plumbing company. I had a media company. I had 5 kids living in a Gilbert house that I was renting and paying them all salaries, and they were following me around, and too hard. Dude, when I sit at my desk, I wake up and get some fitness in, I get cold, and I do the morning routine that everyone does, but I've been doing it for a long time. I get some spirituality in my heart and in my mind. I feed my kids breakfast. I take them to school. I never miss. I'm at my office by 8:45. If I sit there and just freaking undistracted, try to go move contracts for 3 hours a day, we go do 200 a month on $5,000 spend. I naturally buy a rental in there somewhere. I get with my CPA. Hey, how much Q3? How much real estate do I need to buy before the end of the year? Temp, you probably need. Okay. Hey, Miguel, let's hold this next thing. I need this much savings. Low noise. I have the title company. Title just spits that. I mean, even though I lost a ton of cash in the flipping company, still made $500,000 in title. Still made $250,000 in.
Explain that to people, because when they hear that, so you own a title company.
Yes.
So every time a transaction closes through there, you're making some fees.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an affiliate or referral.
So in this case, so I've been blessed to have a joint venture with Cobra over at Magnus for 4 years. And so I had the traditional team. I had Tempelton Group, which actually is just got acquired and merged with Kenny Klaus. Kenny's acquiring that team because he came over to Real Brokerage with me. That's a whole nother can of worms. So I have a traditional agency team that creates a ton of files and commissions. So that's one way to get paid. Then I have the acquisition company, which is Wholesale. Then I have the fix and flip company. And all of these need title work. So once I had 30, 40 files a month, that's when I was like, oh, I have enough weight behind me to go get paid on this and have ownership. So I own 49%, and everything that goes to title is like so profitable.
So if you're doing 30, 40 closings a month, just in general, what are you making?
So when things were, I'm an open book. So you make about $2,000 a deal. Them getting 51% of that, me netting 900. What I did really well is I own it by myself because I had enough deal flow personally where most people can't keep up with me when it comes to deal flow. So it's like, all right, you're going to bring 4 deals. I'm going to bring 40. I'm just going to own it. You know what I mean? So I have that, and you can make, so when it was really good, I was making 70, 80 grand a month on like an hour of work a week. And right now it's 15, 20 a month, and it's low noise, high margin. My own deals. What I had done for a while is like brought other people in, and they had like what was called B shares. It was a mess, and they always wanted more money I felt like a title rep. I was just like, everyone can fuck off. I have enough deals. Maybe I'm not the biggest joint venture, but I have enough deals to just make a nice check, low noise, high margin. So to answer your question for 24, sit at that damn desk for 3-4 hours a day. I have very clear, me and Miguel, we got to each do 2 deals a week. He does 2, I do 2. We go make about $2.5 million on that. We keep about 2.2 of that. We won't really like I have 3 fix and flips right now, but they got to be very strategic. And I mostly just use my dad's money, and he'll run them because my folks kind of take care of them.
Are these just like, in and out, regular fix and flips?
Dude, I have a metric. The amount of days I want the reno to be needs to match my amount of days of cost. So like 30K needs to be a 30-day in and out. I need to be on the market in 30 days. And I try to stay under.
I like that. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. So hey, if this is going to be 50 days, man, my reno better. If I don't want to do a 50-day project that needs 100, because it just, you know what I mean? So I have one in Tukey right now. We put
house or
house.
I'm looking for a house. What are we working with? Is this going to be decent? You got 3-car garage?
No, you don't want this.
I don't want this. A little shitty. I like how it's Tukey. That's why I was saying.
No, but I'll find you a banger deal. There's no one better at finding deals.
I want to anybody listening, I want a 2-story, 3-car garage, at least 3,800 square foot or bigger, backing the mountain in Ahwatukee, Arizona.
I was telling the guys here.
@official Cody Sperber is my Instagram. Just send me a DM with your deal. I'll take a look at it. Yeah, I went through a divorce and I sold everything, the big $5 million house and all the cars.
You were in the pecans, right?
I was in the pecans, and we had,
amicable.
Beautiful. Yeah, wonderfully amicable.
I saw last night again, right?
Yeah,
I was researching.
It's been probably the greatest experience of any person I know that's ever gotten a divorce. And it is largely because Shannon showed me so much grace and empathy when I was going through such a hard time losing my mom, and I'm losing the marriage, and I'm just spiraling out of control. And she just really stepped up as a human being. Even when she didn't have to, she just treated me very kindly through the process. And in return, I made sure financially everybody was good and everybody.
Yeah, you guys weren't fighting over everything.
No, not at all. We really never even fought during our marriage. That's what was crazy. I think we fought like maybe 3-4 times.
Did it kind of morph into like a friendship more than
that was it? Yeah, we just separated over a long period of time and just became best friends and just disconnected intimately. And you look back now, and that's a whole nother podcast. I got 1,000 lessons on how I fucked that all up and how she.
How long have you been single?
I'm not single anymore. I'm my girlfriend lives with me. But I was probably separated for almost 2 years. And then the whole divorce process, I was finally back out and starting to date again. And then I met Maria, my girlfriend.
Awesome, man.
Everything's been great. And that journey has been a lot of work to get me in a position where I felt ready as a man. We have a problem in America today. I think it's the number one problem that we face is there's no spiritual men out there leading their families.
I'm going to send you a book called Firestarters, Conversations with God. It's this little daily dose.
I love that.
I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
But I agree. So, but keep elaborating on that. So
it's just, where are the God-fearing men? Where are the men that chase a connection with their creator? Where are the men that lead their family to that connection? And, for me, Christian, so it's like, for me, it's like, where's my relationship with Jesus? Where's my relationship with God? How do I connect deeper spiritually? And then in return, how do I embody that into everything that I do? It's been hard because I was a pretty strong, like, atheist. Like, I was like, organized religion's not my thing. I think it's a big business and kind of a joke. And I struggled with a lot of that. But going through a death and then a divorce and just reevaluating, like, how do I want to roll through life? I got to a place where I desired that connection, and it's been a muscle that I've been really working hard to build. But I think the big problem is if you don't have real men out there that have gone through that process of healing themselves and really starting to show up as leaders for their communities and their significant others and then their kids. I said this in another podcast, like my biggest pain was telling my kids we're getting a divorce. That crushed all of their foundation of like, what does this mean? And they felt unsafe and they felt scared and they didn't know what was going on. And I knew I was to blame for fucking it all up, or at least I took ownership of my role in it all. And so from that moment forward, I just vowed that I'm going to work really hard to set a better standard for them and everybody else that knows me. I'm going to be a better partner, a better best friend, a better connector in business and all those things. And I think people have seen the transition over the last 2 years of like old Cody, who was hyper-focused on winning, hyper-focused on money, hyper-focused on real estate and business and scaling and growth and domination. And now this version of me, which is embodying a lot more things that have nothing to do with money. It's more about joy and happiness.
You can feel it in your energy being around you. I've been around you 2 years ago. I've been around you now. And there is a piece, I guess I would say, that you carry now that I didn't feel then, right? And maybe it's because I've...
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's what I want, right?
No, and but to say to the point though about God-fearing men, and like I've struggled with it too, right? Especially organized religion, where I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like that I call bullshit, right? But what I have found is that, especially last year, I had some dark moments looking at the P&Ls and, just feeling crushed and just being like, how do I get out of this? And when I finally just surrendered and I was like, God, like, I need you. I need you to lead me because I don't know the way. And when I tell you the peace that came over me when I surrendered, and I've always prayed every night and I said I had a relationship with God and I was trying, but when I truly surrendered and was like, please save me, like, please lead me. This is your doing. Dude, I'm telling you, from that moment, I have just crushed. I have just crushed. And I've led my family in a proud way. Me and my wife, before we were husband and wife, we went through some breakups before when we just dated. And the worst of me would come out because I was wounded, right? Like I had trauma I didn't even know. So the fact that you were able to separate, and this is maturity, right? And being who you are today, you're able to separate and end up in a better spot. When I was younger, in my early 20s, if I separated, it was a 7-day, like crazy, right? And I'm so thankful that, my wife grounds me, God grounds me, and I'm in the right spot. Because, dude, I'm a lion. Like, if you let me out of the cage, there's something in there. I'll kill a tourist. So I just tell my wife, you got to take me out, take me for walks. Yeah. But if I break out, it's going to be bad, right? So I don't know. It's all maturity.
That's good that you've kind of processed that way, because I think surrender is a hard thing to do when you're an entrepreneur. It really is, but it's the right thing to do. And it's the first step in stepping into your full potential. You can't get there until you finally are willing to make the change and realize that you're in your own way and you're not the solution, and that you gotta have a really strong faith.
You know what I need advice from you from, Cody, that I wanted to ask today is, so I'm like low noise, high margin.
Yeah.
I got the great businesses. I make plenty of money for my lifestyle. Everything's rolling. I'm good. Just my rev share off a reel is insane. My rentals, title. My wife and I own a med spa. I'm good, right? And then wholesaling, little fix and flip. Man, I just say all that and I'm like, shouldn't that be enough, Temp? But I have this thing that is, every time I hit tranquil water, I go find the biggest fucking boulder I can find and I throw it in that bitch.
Yeah.
Have you found a way to be at peace where you're at? Or is this going to be a perpetual battle?
When you say be at peace, you mean like, when is enough enough? Or is the answer always more?
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling with, I think.
Yeah, I think the answer is always more. but it's what does that mean? And for me, it was like, okay, if I had a magic wand and unlimited resources, what would I do with it all? Like you have $500 million, you have $1 billion, you have $5 billion. What do you do? What's your next move? Are you going to buy shit? Are you going to get a jet? Are you going to buy a Bugatti? Are you going to retire your parent? Like what's the next power move? And for me, when I really stopped everything else and I just kind of processed on that thought for a long period of time, I kind of went like the Steve Irwin route. I was like, I would save all the fucking animals on the planet that I could. Like that would be like the ultimate, I'm sliding into my grave and I'm just like, fuck yeah. Like I did it.
Purpose.
That was like okay, so if I'm fighting for animals, that's an interesting thing. Well, what am I doing in my day-to-day world to embody that? And the answer was not much. Not much. I wasn't doing anything. I mean, I have Green Elephant Development that donates a portion of our profits to elephant conservation. So, like, I'm not making a dent. I'm not, and it's like, okay, all right. Maybe that's going to be the piece I need to know that I'm chipping away at this thing that's going to mean something to me and my legacy and be a great example for my kids. So I don't know what that is for you, but literally at every decision I make, I'm literally in church yesterday. It's Monday when we're recording this, by the way. I'm in church and I'm sitting there praying and I'm like in this really deep, like the music's playing and all this stuff. And I'm praying and I'm just kind of like in my own thoughts. And I just kept visualizing, like, how do I write like in 2024, how do I write $1 million check? Like, how do I do this? Like, I just keep visualizing that moment. Like there's a foundation called the Sheldrick Trust. And it's a foundation that saves elephants. And I'm just visualizing like, okay, how do I write them $1 million check this year?
That's amazing.
How fucking dope would that be? That's a great first milestone. I don't know how I'm going to pull that off. I don't know if it's my money, somebody else's money, all of our money's piled in together. But I'm just like, okay, part of my mission this year is to write $1 million checks to save elephants. And then I'll reassess from there. See, can I do a $5 million check? Can I do a 10 million? Can I give $100 million to cleaning up the ocean? I don't know what's in me, but it definitely drives a different energy.
Well, you're putting purpose in the tank rather than necessity.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a different fuel. It's jet fuel as opposed to like 89.
There you go. So maybe whatever that is for you, I don't know, but you're already great. You're already great at making money. You're great at residential. I definitely think your talents are wasted. Like if the only thing that would pull me back from that statement is that I love the mission of being a super dad. Oh. I love the mission of being a super husband. I think that's phenomenal. Being that leader for your family is like the most important thing. But if you can get your family involved in whatever that big next thing is for you, you're definitely not living up to your full potential.
I think that's the season. Like I'm trying to really understand the season I'm in where my daughters are 2 and 3, little Templeton's 8, Noah's 13, King's 17. Noah's wanting to hang out with his buddies. I mean, he's still my best bud, but he's wanting to hang out with buddies. King, he's me and him have a amazing friendship, but he definitely wants to hang out with his buddies, right? So I have this season with the girls and with little Temp where I'm like, I know I'm gonna make a ton of money in my 40s and 50s and 60s, right? Because it's just what I do. Yeah. So if I leave a little there, but I'm better if my wheel is more full on this family side.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful.
And I actually talked to you in your office probably 2 years ago. And I remember I was kind of talking about my simplified life and you at the time were, dude, you were running hot or you had ran hot and big and you were like, Temp, stay for a bit. So that was a little bit different advice than now.
When I said stay for a bit, what do you mean?
In that spot, I was like in a low stress season, low noise, high margin.
Yeah. No, I've built the luxury prisons. I've gone really big.
That's what
I'm not saying, when I say go big, I'm still cool with low stress, high margin.
Yeah.
I just mean
impact. In
your impact and in your world in your skill set that you carry around with you, you could very easily do a $50 million deal, a $150 million deal, a $250 million. You're just not at all even thinking like that or wanting to think like that. Yeah. It's almost like this barrier is there. You're like, you built this framework of, nope, I'm okay with my 200 grand a month and my family and my 4 hours a day, and I'm good. And nothing is wrong with that.
I like that you're
But you
challenging
also at the same time said that I'm a lion. Right? So it's like, okay, you're a lion, and that's great if you're containing and controlling that because you love your family more than anything else, and you're willing to sacrifice for a few years to give everything to them. I love that. And I'll never be the one to talk you out of that. I will say, when the time comes and you're actually ready to stop being a little bitch and you're like, okay, I'm going to go for it. Just don't go for the next step up the ladder. Just really think about like, what is it out there that would scare the shit out of you, that you know that if you pulled it off would be one of those legendary moments that if you wrote a book, you'd be like, fuck, this goes in my book.
All right, yeah.
Right? It's like that pivotal moment where you made your first like $30 million. It's just like such a big outcome that you're like, holy moly, this is great, $50 million. And that play is where on the business side of things you should go. And then the other piece of it is, what does that all mean? If you had $50 million, what
would I do with it?
What's the purpose?
Yeah. You know what? So 2 things. I made a decision to start tithing this year, but I'm not affiliated with any church, and I'm kind of calling it tithing direct. Okay. So like going directly to the source or the person in need and making that first tithe. So like I kind of have a lot of money on the first that's going to, because January is the first one. So I need to I'm giving 10%.
Well, Impact Church, my church is raising $500,000 to rent the stadium. They're going to have 24,000 people at Easter, and they're renting the little Cub stadium over here.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's lots of churches right now that are fully out of space. They need things and all that stuff. If you're not affiliated with a specific church, might want to look at something like that. They do a lot of good.
So I'm trying to figure out how to tithe.
Also, chip in on my $1 million mission to go save every animal. Come on, bro.
Let's get a plan. So I want to tithe direct. And then 2 is on social media, I've always shared these esoteric interests. I'm a creative, I made this shirt. I love creating. I'm weird in that way. Well, my social was I had a big Instagram. I deleted it 4 years ago and was like, this is stupid. And I didn't deactivate it. I deleted it. So I had to kind of restart, which in hindsight was a mistake monetarily, but it was perfect for what I needed in life. But I swore I would never play the buy followers game or do that. So I was at 5,000 followers. I could never really get much momentum. But I realized, all right, I'm not Joe Rogan. No one cares what I'm eating today or that I'm in the sauna or this or that. People follow me that are real estate agents that want to know how to make more money and solve their they want financial freedom. And I was rereading $100 million offers, $100 million leads 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, great book.
And I was like,
Alex Hormozy's book. If you guys haven't read it, go check it out.
And I was like, from now on, if you follow my stories, you can see my life. But if I post, I'm going to talk to realtors and I'm going to solve their problems. And another thing he said is, don't sell a half idea. Give them the best stuff you got. Dude, in 3 weeks, I'm gaining 1,000 followers a day. I'm at 19,000 from 5,000. I couldn't get over 5,600.
On your IG?
On my IG, it's all realtors. It's the perfect niche that I decided. And so the idea was that we were going to sell education. We've had this idea, the realtor doctors. One of the ads was going to be me doing brain surgery. Miguel, this guy only knows how to take a listing. Yeah. What a fucking idiot. We got to teach him something else.
Yeah.
So good ad, right? Which you don't. So I'm asking you all of this because it has momentum. Do I jab with value? I don't necessarily need the money because I have some buddies in the info space. They're doing $250, $500 a month on a way less meaningful product, in my opinion. Yeah. But they know how to market it. So do I go make that money right now, which I believe I can, or do I just jab with value like Hormozy did for a year or 2 years on a smaller scale? Just value, niche. And then if and when I write hook, it's a $5 or $10 million thing instead of a $500,000 thing.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Well, yes, you keep doing the value thing and you just keep generating as much content and
do you like it? Dude, poke holes. I
think the thing that you got to do, and just because you're adding value doesn't mean that you can't sell them on something. You just don't need to sell them on something that costs them money. You need to sell them on the idea of joining your email list.
Yeah.
and joining your text marketing list.
Well,
You need to pull them off of social into a controlled environment
So I was
through
gonna-
lead magnets and free trainings and free webinars and just the value.
Community.
Yeah. The thing that's great about you is you on camera, like you live, right? Like you interacting
Yeah.
and having fun and being playful. And hey, John, that question, here's what I would do. And you're like giving out free coaching and stuff like that. And everybody's elevating. The whole community that you're building is elevating, and they're on your lives. Every time they see you, they want to jump on. They want to go to the webinar. They want to go to your email list. They want to go to your text list. And I would build that up over the next year to as big as humanly possible. So whatever lead magnets you need to create and give away to pull people off and then control them in your email and text list, that is the actual play. So when the time comes, a year from now, that you're ready to launch a book or launch a coaching program or launch a live event or a mastermind or something, you send one text and one email and all your low-hanging fruit that you've been building up for all this time is just, because they would have bought anything from you at that point, right? They're ready to go at 5,000, 10,000, 7,000, 20,000. They're your low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
And that's going to happen whether you sell them in tranches or if you sell them all at one time.
Okay.
But to build an actual reoccurring business off of that, you got to get them off of social.
Okay. So I understand what you're saying. We are considering building the community in Go High Level or school.
Go High Level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then the funnels, everything's all in one spot.
And they're just a great company. And I know the owners really well. And it's just Go High Level.
We run all our other companies on Go High Level. So like we know it well.
Yeah. Go High Level.
Okay.
That's it. And I wouldn't change up anything. Like even my new Instagram. So I shifted away from
I was just
Clever
asking about
Investor.
it.
I'm over at official Cody Sperber. Clever Investor had almost 1.2 million followers on it. It was 1.2, but it dipped down a little bit. I right now have 13,000 followers on mine. I'm gaining about
Well, I'll tag you. And
couple. Yeah. Maybe I can
this
give
will
me some
probably
love.
be the 1 week that I'm ahead of you.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm gaining about 100 followers a day right now, every single day of the week. And some, like last week, I had a video go viral. I got 1.8 million views, and I gained maybe 4,000, 5,000 followers just from that one video. So like a viral video can really.
I had one go 250K, and that was a great push. And then I've had a bunch of 40, 50Ks.
Are you collaborating with other agent pages? Because that would be my strategy if I was you. If I wanted just real estate agents, because you're so good at content creation, I would go to the other agent creators. I would go on the explore page. I would be trying to find all the really dope agent creators, the ones that have the meme pages and the bad real estate agent picks and the what is it?
The broke agent.
The broke agent, which by the way, he's great.
He's at Real now.
Okay. So I would reach out to him and say, can we do some collaborations? I'll send my traffic your way. I'll repost your stuff. And I would just DM him and try to get those because that's your own, that's the audience that follows him is your audience, right?
Yeah.
And vice versa. He wants your audience to go over and follow his stuff. So I would be, collabs work right now.
Okay.
So almost every post I do
Has a collaborator.
I'm working on trying to find a great collaborator. So I just did one with Grant Cardone and we collabed on one, got, 200,000 views in the first 24 hours. And so it's like that alone gets you dozens, if not hundreds of followers.
What's the big vision for you right now? Like, what is your North Star? Business.
Don't ever, well, hold on. Let me say what my North Star is for my content. Anybody who's ever bought in a single follower, anybody who's ever tried to gamify the system and has fake engagement or part of engagement groups or did a giveaway campaign, you need to take your account right now. And I was going to say delete it, but what I would do is I would take my account, I would take all my best content, okay, and I would archive it. And I would go set up a brand new account and I would slowly post the best of my old content on my new page to get it going.
Yeah.
And I would collab with my old page when I do it. And I would pull my real followers off my old page over to my new page.
Yeah.
Once I get my new page going, I would never buy a fake follower. The only thing I would ever do is collabs. And if I wanted to grow quickly, I would find somebody like @Wealth on Instagram or @Millionaire Mentor on Instagram, and I would pay them to collab with me.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about buying followers or shout outs or any of that stuff. I would say just, I want you to post my content on your page and collab with me. and tell people to come over and follow me. And that's what I would do.
Yeah, because then and trust me, like the vanity metric, when I was stuck at 5,600 and I know my value, I know like when the juice is in the squeeze with me, right? Where most of these guys are not, like they're not doing it. And I'm like, but
it's better to have real, organic.
And I always tell people with influence want a business. People with a business want influence. And I'd much rather be a person with a business who's craving influence than the other way around.
100%.
And so now, but I do think I'm getting through this threshold finally where at 18,000 real followers, all realtors, I have enough value to go to the broke agent or to you or to whoever, where it's not like, you got to have something
I'll collaborate with you.
Yeah, you got to have an Annie to play, right? Like you got to have a little bit of juice.
Why do we do a podcast?
Because you get to clip it down.
And I'm going to put great talent in this chair next to me and build a relationship with them for the sole purpose of seeing if there's synergy.
And not only collaboration on Instagram, but it's collaboration on all things.
Yeah, deal flow,
Temp,
knowledge, all of it. And so that's if you're sitting out there and you're listening to this and you're like, dude, I don't even have 1,000 followers. That's okay. That's okay. Be a better content creator. Your challenge right now is that you feel this imposter syndrome or you have this self-limiting belief that content isn't your thing. Trust me, if you're into real estate, create real estate content. If you're in marketing, create marketing content, whatever you're into. And it's okay. Like you said something like, nobody cares what I eat and all that stuff. I do think there is a place for showing your personality and showing your family.
I like that on the stories though. Yeah. My growth has happened now when I niche down. I'm doing 3, like, dude, I'm writing my reels. Like I'm putting thought and time into like what I'm about to say, because the honest truth I had to tell myself on some of my content, because I'll freestyle anything and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I needed to make great content.
Yeah.
And I was making pretty good content.
Let me go through and look at your content, because the first 5 seconds are the most important.
Yep.
What's the hook?
Yep.
What's the big, bold, crazy, controversial thing that evokes anger? Like you need to evoke anger in me. And that's the thing everybody's missing. When I help people create content, I'm like, okay, what's the controversial thing that evokes anger? Because if it's invoking love, I'll watch, and you're going to have people that love you, watch stuff and never once engage ever with any of your content.
Yep.
They'll go 5 years and never like a single post.
But they love you.
They love you.
But when you piss someone off,
now you're hacking the algorithm. Now they're going to give their opinion. They're going to say something. They're going to finally be motivated to engage. And it's okay. You want to be a little controversial in the first 5 seconds. Now you can spin it back when you kind of unfold the problem and solution, which is the back half of the reel.
Yeah.
Also, don't just do reels.
Collaboration
carousels
posts
work really well.
Yeah.
If you look at the back end of my engagement, my pictures get 10 times the engagement of my reels as far as reach.
Yeah.
I did 1.2 million. I reached 1.2 million people in the last 7 days. And most of that came from carousel pics.
Do you know who Greg Eisenberg is?
Mm-mm.
So he owns like pretty much a mini incubator of like a ton of businesses, but his whole thing is community, and then he selling through community. Dude's a gangster. But I went on intro and I bought a $2,600 call from him because he's really good friends with for My First Million guys.
Okay.
Sam Parr and Sean Puri. Are you familiar with that podcast?
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So he's good friends with them. He's been on. Anyway, I'm like, he is doing what I'm thinking about doing. Again, pay the money. Mm-hmm. So I get an hour-long call with him. And so I pitch everything, but he just gave me a few nuggets in there that was like, all right, this can work. So that helped. But he talked about carousels. He's like, Temp. He just gave me some like actionable tactics that really, really helped. And also you can make a ton of money off a 5,000 person Instagram.
100%. I got 13,000. Right now I do a story post. I get about 3,000 views on my stories off a 13,000 person.
That's kind of where I'm at. And
it's crazy.
In one of my videos, I gently mentioned like, hey guys, first things first, leads aren't that scary. You just need data. And if you have good data, you're able to scrape it down. You're able to skip trace it. And then that's what a lead is, right? Like in the realtor world, people want you to make leads seem like this elusive thing. So I just kind of said that and like, hey, this is what we do. And I've just I sent my data link with batch skip tracing, my buddy Jesse. to over 300 people. And now it's like over $5,000 of recurring revenue every month from a.
And you just, all you were doing was referring a great product
And I wasn't
to your followers.
And then they were like, wait, did you mention a dialer? All right, my dialer link. Oh, dude. So my affiliates, I have 2 big affiliates. One I can't mention yet. I'll tell you right after that I think could be great for you. But then another one with Tax Hive, which is Kevin O'Leary's company, where so many people in our business, tax prep is awful and they don't have bookkeeping.
Oh yeah.
And there's an affiliate for that.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, are you loyal to them?
No, not necessarily. I just started.
Let me introduce you to my friend Steve Harward from Prime Corporate Services.
Okay, I've heard of Prime.
Okay, I connected him with Pace.
Yeah.
And Jamil and Vina and everybody.
Yeah.
I was Steve's gateway into the real estate education world.
And he has an affiliate program?
Yeah. So Steve's paid me a little over $500,000 so far for any of our Clever Investor students that have used him for just things that they're already going to do. I need every single person that's ever came through my program sets up an LLC and at the end of the year has to file some form of taxes.
Yeah.
And they were going somewhere to do it. And Steve was like, dude, I'll do it better and cheaper and I'll take care of your clients and I'll never sell them anything other than just helping them do these things they're already going to be doing. And so, it's when you have a company that's people are paying a lot of money to join your mentoring program and stuff like that, I controlled those leads. I was like, there's no way I'm giving anybody access to my best clients. But I trusted Steve. He did a phenomenal job. He did this for years. I've been doing, a couple $100,000 a year, $300,000-$400,000 a year every year. Last year he paid $500,000. I know with Pace, he pays millions of dollars in referrals because Pace is so much larger than me. And so I would definitely talk to him because I think you can make a lot of money in that.
I love affiliates because I won't just sell anything. I only want to sell stuff that I genuinely have ran into this problem and here's a good solution.
Yeah. By the way, I think it's off the top of my head, primecorporateservices.com/clever.
There we go. Yeah.
I think that's the link. But if not, just tell him when you talk to somebody over there that Clever sent you.
Cool.
Well, Steve's going to love that. We dropped his stuff in the podcast. All right, bro. Listen, dude, thank you for coming and hanging out. Next time I have you on here, whenever that is, a year or two from now, whenever you feel ready to come back, maybe your kids are grown up. You're now back in lion mode. You're gunning for something massive. And I would love to see what that impact is going to be on the other end of that. Because I know for me, once I started connecting it to that, it gamified the whole thing, made it fun again, made it to where every decision I make has some element of that baked into it.
Dude, I'm craving it. I'm trying to just be at peace, but I know it will come. And when it does, I'm going to call you like, Cody, let me back on because I'm a fucking dog right now, baby.
There you go. How do people find you on social?
Templeton_Walker. IG is going to be the best spot.
Yeah. And who has Tempelton Walker? What's with the underscore?
I deleted the big account.
Oh, and now you can't get it back?
No. Some photographer in like freaking the Netherlands.
That's
and
amazing.
I've offered him 10 grand.
It might be better for you to do Tempelton Walker official.
Could be. I mean, I'm starting to get all these fake accounts that follow it like stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, just because the underscore is always a pain in the ass. Yeah. Well, anyway, now we've drilled. We made it special. So now everybody's going to go to you. Thanks for coming on the show, guys. If you got some value from this, go give Templeton a follow. Tell him that you found him on the Clever Investor Show.
Let's go.
And of course, if you love this episode, make sure you leave us a positive review. It helps our algorithm push this show out to other like-minded people. We appreciate your time. Till next time, we're out of here. Take care. Comb your hair. Peace.